It's so good to be back here. And let me tell you something. We've got a guest tonight who's not just a good boy, he's a great boy, spreading positivity and doodle light wherever he goes, including to the residents of the LA Jewish Home, the Motion Picture Television Fund Home, the Ronald McDonald House, and the travelers at the Burbank Hollywood Airport. And get this, folks, he's also the first guest that I've ever interviewed on this show that I've kissed. Scandalous, right? That's right. We've already shared a special moment or two, so I know we're going to have a fantastic conversation. Please give a warm welcome to Andrew the Goldendoodle and his interpreter, Mark Perlow. Welcome, welcome, Mark. Oh, you're muted. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, there we go.
Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I am fantastic, and it is so good. You are our first, Andrew, you are our first four-legged guest on this show, so you're making history. So I want to dive right in. And Mark, thank you so much for being his interpreter for this show and everywhere he goes as an ambassador in his community. So my first kind of question is, Andrew, how old are you?
Andrew's 8.5, coming up on his ninth birthday soon.
Well, that's exciting. And number one, you still look like a puppy to me. Um, so, Mark, I'm a little bit curious. Had you ever, because, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more later, with therapy dogs and in the therapeutic sense, had you done this before?
No, Andrew is the first therapy dog that I've had. I had a friend who was doing this at a local hospital, and I ran into him at work, and he brought his a dog through and saw how much the patients enjoyed seeing that. And then my mom was in a nursing home, and we got to see the dogs that would come and visit. So I brought Andrew, and everybody seemed to enjoy meeting him, and he enjoyed the attention that he was getting. So I figured I would try this and looked into the different organizations that certify and chose one and then got started.
Yeah, so when you met Andrew, when you adopted him, did you see traits in him that would make you think that he would be a fantastic therapy dog, or did it kind of just all coalesce together with that experience?
Well, that's a really good question. We've been doing this for over 7.5 years now, and he is just a natural at it. And over the time, you run into people who like this and say, "Well, I have a dog. How do I do
Hmm.
this? How do I train my dog to be a therapy dog?" And the issue is, I don't think you do. The dog either likes it and enjoys it, and you pick up on that. So it's the dog feeling comfortable around people, but it's also you being able to sense the dog's needs, what the dog feels like, and protect the dog, because that's really our role as we go out, is to make sure that he's okay with us. If he's not having a good time, no one is going to enjoy the visits.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about what the training looks like to become a therapy dog?
Sure. Um, Different organizations have different skill sets that they look for. The group that I got involved with wanted to see that your dog had done a group training session so the dog would get along in close quarters with other dogs and other people. And when we got Andrew, it turned out we were going on vacation. Andrew, we wanted a doodle because doodles are hypoallergenic. And we were living in Georgia at the time and called around and no one would return the calls. 8.5 years ago, it was hard to find a doodle puppy. So we found Andrew in St. Louis, outside of St. Louis, and we FaceTimed 3 or 4 times with these people. And uh, there were all the puppies, and Andrew was there. And one of the puppies went to pee in the living room. This was inside the breeder's house. And the dog looked like it was going to go right in the middle of the living room floor. Andrew walked up, pushed this dog towards the doggy door, and the dog went outside. So I said, this is a smart dog. This is the dog that I want, who knows the difference between peeing inside and outside. Unfortunately, what I didn't realize was that what he was saying is, this is my space. I'm the only one allowed to pee inside the living room. So there was some training. When we got him, we did 2 weeks of boarding training with the trainer, and he passed with flying colors. My wife and I, maybe not as much, but then the trainer worked with us to make sure we were consistent, because it's important to both be consistent, that the dog is getting the same message from both
Mhm,
people, and that you agree what the dog is allowed to do and not. So after we worked with that trainer, we had to do a group training class for 6 weeks, an hour a week. And then once you pass that, um, you apply to one of the organizations, and they have tests. They want the dog to sit and stay and let other people handle it, and make sure that the dog is not going to go crazy with loud noises.
mhm,
So we were involved after a while in Atlanta, testing other teams that wanted to do pet therapy. And again, there are a lot of people think that you just walk in and it happens. And I would
mhm.
say probably a third of the people pass right away. And it's important, if this is something that you want to do, that you understand that it's not a pass fail situation. It's a situation for you to learn about your dog and learn what steps you can take to be a better team leader, and do a better job protecting your guy.
Well, I like that you mentioned, because I'd never thought about that before, that Andrew was good, but you needed some more training. I've never kind of thought, since it's both of you, it's both of you are a team when you go out and you are talking to people and you're doing this. Um, I need you, and I'll ask you a few questions during this for Andrew. So I'll need you to interpret.
Okay.
So Andrew, what's your favorite part of the job? Is it the cuddles, the pats, or just being there for people?
Well, Andrew has a different bandana each place that he goes to, so he knows where he is going that day. And it's actually different. So in some places, he sees friends, people that he knows and that have treats for him each time. At the senior homes, at the airport, it's meeting new people and getting belly scratches. Um, so each each experience offers a little bit something different for him. But I think it's
I love
mainly,
that.
I think it's mainly, hey, this is the time to be with my human, and I'm going to enjoy that. So it's incumbent on me to make sure that he does enjoy the time, and that when he says enough, I get the message and we know that it's enough time to go.
I love that. And one of the things that, because you guys go to different residential homes, and I mentioned at the Hollywood Burbank Airport, because we have a clip, and I would like you to set it up for us. And it's a live clip of what you and Andrew do at the airport. I've been to this airport several times. As people know, my in laws live in LA. And unfortunately, I have yet to see Andrew, but I hope to. We all understand how stressful traveling is, and just it's so wonderful what you're doing. So, if you would tell us a little bit about the clip, we'll see, and then we'll also talk about it a little bit more after.
So there are actually 42 airports in America that have pet therapy teams that come. We have 12 dogs in at Burbank, and we rotate. We're there every Monday morning, unless something crazy happens. And it's just walking up and down the hall. Everybody there who works in the airport knows him, and he walks in and you hear the oohs and ahs from the people behind the ticket counters or working in the restaurants or the TSA people. And then we're walking down the halls, and you can see everybody is kind of into their phones looking, and someone puts their phone down and smiles, and we'll walk up and say, you look like you need to pet a dog. and we meet people and they show us their dogs, and it's, again, whether it's families at Ronald McDonald House or at the
Mhm.
airport, you're stuck and your head is in a place you don't want it to be. And
Mhm.
a visit from Andrew can help you just enjoy a different moment, find some peace
I
in the moment.
I love that. So we're gonna play this clip of Andrew and you live in action.
He's a member of Hollywood Burbank's Waggage Claim Department, so you have to talk to someone else about your bags, but your wags, he'll handle it for you. Andrew enjoys meeting everybody. When he's walking down the hallway here, you can tell people, their eyes brighten up, they smile, and I think Andrew is drawn to those people.
Well, hello, Andrew.
Andrew enjoys visiting and going through TSA. One, because there are a lot of people in line, and the people enjoy meeting him. He has his business cards for you guys.
He has a business. Oh my God!
He does not get a lot of opportunities to have an audience, so he's got his audience and he wants to play it up. He's 6.5 years old, so he's slowing down some, but he still occasionally gets zoomies. Doodles are a special breed of dog, mixed, a poodle mixed with some other breed. And the poodles tend to be a bit hyper, and sometimes that shows in something that we call the zoomies. And that's when the dog goes crazy, runs faster than you can imagine in circles. Would you like to give him a treat?
Oh, he took it so gentle.
Andrew knows kiss, he knows sit, he knows down, he knows paw, and he knows stay. I'm not worried about showing him and obedience. I'm more interested in the affection he shows to everybody. You look like you need to pet a dog. It's an opportunity for us to work together and build a closer relationship.
That is incredible. And first of all, I mean, who doesn't love baggage claim? At baggage claim, we can have stress, we can lose our bags, lose our items, but baggage claim, you saw just like what you're talking about, you saw the phones come out, you saw people time stood still. And one of the questions that I have is that, I get stressed out flying and going to the airport. Does Andrew, does he get anxious or is he cool as a cucumber going to like the homes and going to the airport?
Well, he has some memories of bad times. Andrew first started out as a pilot for Southwest,
Oh,
but
wow.
he was a first officer, not a pilot, not a
I
captain.
see. Yes.
And he got laid off because he had some near misses. His feet wouldn't reach the pedals.
Understandable.
But then he studied a while, worked hard at it, and went to Delta and got a job there. The problem was that every time he saw a tree, it was like, oh my God, squirrel! And he would
Yeah.
dive down and chase. So that didn't work. He then got a job at the airport as a drug sniffing dog. And we would walk up and down the aisles there, and he would stop in front of someone and see their suitcase and a little bark, and they'd come over and check, and they'd find Tylenol. And it just got too many people upset. So we had to refigure and work with him to understand better what his job was. And it's an easy one. He gets paid 2 treats an hour. And
Okay, good.
for a couple of hours, that isn't bad, except for California taxes.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so he hardly gets a snack by the time he gets home. He's earned more here than a whole day at the airport already.
Well, that is great. I'd like you to talk to me a little bit about Do you find that people have different problems, like going at the airport, different anxieties than in the residential homes, or are a lot of the feelings very similar?
Well, it's a totally different experience. The airport, there are people who appear anxious, but that may be more
Mhm.
because a plane is late or canceled, or they're trying to travel with three children, or their suitcase is 5 pounds more than it's supposed to be to get there. So those little things just make it more of an issue. We
Mhm.
were asked if we wanted to work at LAX, and we love Burbank. It's our close, easy, comfortable airport. People are friendly, and it's just a totally different experience. So certainly, I think people would be more stressed out going to a bigger, busier airport. Um, and then you go to the senior homes. Most of the senior homes, there are a lot of people with dementia. So some remember him, some in the course of one visit will ask, how old is he, a boy or girl? What's his name? 3 or 4 times, because there's just no ability to develop a short-term memory. But you can see them lighting up. Even if it's only for a few minutes, it gives them something to think about and appreciate. And that's the thing we're seeing at the senior homes, how much people say this is really the highlight of their day to visit with Andrew.
Absolutely. So that kind of leads me to my next question. Andrew, you have seen a lot of emotions in different environments. How do you know when someone needs a little extra comfort?
Well, I mean, he's been out. We started at dog parks where you had a lot of dogs around and you had to learn the emotions from the other dogs. Um, I'm not really sure on that, how to answer that. It's interesting. We used to go when we were back in Atlanta to Oglethorpe University right
Mhm.
before the test finals and stuff and meet with the students. And they would sit on the floor in a circle, and he would walk from one person to the next person to the next person to the next person. And you knew if he was comfortable. It's not that he would just lick your face. He does that, but he would sit in your lap. You knew that he felt comfortable if he could turn his back to you and just sit
Mhm.
on your lap and look out and watch the world. Well, there was one kid that he walked over, kind of looked a while, and then got up and walked by. He would not, and I kind of marched around the circle again and came back. And this guy, he just wouldn't go and sit there. So I don't know if it's smell, if it's
Mhm.
body language. I don't know what cues they're getting, but it's very clear that he's more comfortable and enjoys being with some people more than others.
There's a lot of mysteries about you, Mr. Andrew.
Yep.
So I have a question that came in from the audience, and normally we don't ask questions this early. However, it leads into our next item. Um, the question is, I have a doodle, and she's come back from the groomer looking like a poodle. Didn't like it. Has Andrew ever come back that way from the groomer?
Well, we've had to write a "Don't Poodle My Doodle" note a couple of times. I actually, my wife says I'm a bit obsessive about this. I have 6-page instructions on how to groom him, and they do a pretty good job, but I take that every time we go. Um, Grooming doodles is not cheap, particularly in the LA area. So being retired, I bought a set of clippers, and half the time I do it, and then half the time we'll send him out for a bath and grooming and what have you. But, sometimes he comes back and he doesn't look the same. and he feels have control. I mean, most of us, we pick someone and pick a place because we like how we go, and that's who we choose to go and see. Dogs don't do that. He has to just put up with whatever happens.
As someone in the chat just said, an Andrew spa day. Andrew, you are high maintenance, but you are worth it, my friend. You know, we've all had a bad haircut or two, and I heard a rumor that Andrew actually wrote a song about it, and we will be about to listen to it. So, would you share me a little bit about this particular spa day?
Well, actually, I don't remember where it was. I think it was probably his first grooming after coming to LA. He came home and he was rather frustrated. He was embarrassed. We had to cover the mirrors so that he would
Oh,
not see himself in the mirror. And unfortunately, he did. And
tragic.
he got to talking. We have a lot of people in music in the family. I'm about the only one who has no musical talent. Um, and Andrew decided he would write a song about it. Has not been able to record it yet professionally, but we do have an early recording version that people might want to hear.
Yes, and we are going to debut this live tonight. Andrew, take it away.
I was a golden doodle looking real fly, with a coat so fluffy reaching for the sky. But then I went to the groomer, had a big old scare. Now I don't recognize myself, it ain't fair. They snip away without a care in the world. Took my flowing locks and me all unfurled. Now I'm looking in the mirror feeling so blue. What happened to my hair? Who the hell are you? Lost in transition, I'm a golden doodle in despair. Can't recognize myself, just ain't fair. I'm searching for answers, trying to find the truth. Who am I now with the short hair roots? I'm searching for answers, trying to find the truth. Who am I now with the short hair roots? With the short hair roots.
So I think Andrew does better as a pet therapy doodle than he does as a songwriter. But he did turn me on to how AI can help write a music with just a very little coaxing.
Well, you know, we all know Andrew wrote it. Andrew, that was very good work. Now, I felt the emotion. I felt the devastation. I was moved. Thank you very much. And on that note, you know, as someone who has had a lot of feelings, a lot of experiences, apparently at the groomer, what advice, Andrew, would you give to someone who's feeling a little down themselves?
It grows back. It's kind of the same as those of us who are dealing with a medical issue. It grows back. You know, we are so much looking about making decisions for the future that we often forget that we are still here and we're still healthy and we still have options. And I think that's important, is whether your hair gets cut off or it falls off because of chemo, it grows back.
I love that perspective. And, I know Andrew is our guest, but so are you as our interpreter. You are actually the lead moderator for our low to intermediate prostate cancer group. And you've provided so much support to a lot of our guys. So, I think it's so interesting that you and Andrew both are such a great team, that you understand what it's like to deal with medical issues, and Andrew's just a good boy, so he has the heart of gold. Would you tell us a little bit about that? And has your experience with prostate cancer helped with being a therapy dog team?
So I was diagnosed in early 2020, late 2019, and it was right at the height of the pandemic. I made some mistakes in my decisions early on because of COVID, but was able to recover. We moved from Atlanta all the way across country because we have grandkids here. But it was just about changing everything in your life all at once. And we had this plan what retirement was going to look like. And boy, that went out the window very quickly in early 2020. I'm very lucky with the medical care team I put together, and I now call prostate cancer the boring disease. I've been able to enter stage boring, where it's more important for me now to share my experience and be able to listen to other people and make sure that they're on the right path and they feel comfortable about the decisions they make along the way. I wanted to take a step back, though, because there's one really interesting story when Andrew and I used to evaluate other teams for doing pet therapy work. And this one dog came in, and there was a number of birth defects in the dog. The hips weren't stable, so the hips would sway back and forth when the dog moved. The jaw was off kilter to the side. The dog's tongue came out and the eyes were crooked. This was one sad, sorry looking dog. And they came through once or twice, and you could see that the dog wanted to do well, but just didn't have all the training down. So we worked with the owner and suggested how she might improve the relationship to become an effective team, and they did, and finally passed the evaluation. And the first thought was, gee, where are we going to send this funny looking dog? And the dog ended up going to the Ronald McDonald House, and it was one of the favorites because the kids there saw that you didn't have to look perfectly. You didn't have to be the most beautiful dog to give love and be loved. And I hope that that's some of the things that people going through and meeting with Andrew do feel, that love that he puts out there. And for me, that has replaced what I did at work. I was a physician, worked with couples trying to conceive and build their families. So to give that up when I retired was quite difficult. Working with Andrew and visiting people, working with ANCAN and reaching out and talking to people who feel like no matter what, if you get a diagnosis of cancer, the first thing you think about is, oh my God, I'm going to die. They just told me that. And that's really not the case. It's really not the case. It does change things. But in my experience, I think it changed me for the better. I am a lot happier now doing the things that I'm doing than when I was working.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's such an important perspective that you just shared, and I think that a lot of people are going to find that to be very, very encouraging. I know for myself, I thought my life was over when I got a cancer diagnosis, and being so many years out I love helping other people realize that that's not true. So I'm glad that you and I both share that. I want to remind everybody that you can ask Andrew and Mark any question you would like. Please put it in the questions pane. I have a couple of questions. One for myself first. So Rick Davis does need a haircut. I was curious because you have some clippers. Would you take care of that?
We should do it together, but if Rick doesn't like the haircut afterwards, he has to record a song about it, and then we'll see which song people like the best.
I'm all for this, and in fact, I'm scheduling it right after we get off of this. That would just, I know it would really brighten a lot of people's day at ANCAN in our community. I love that idea. So, Rick, I will be scheduling you very shortly for a haircut with Mark Perlow. The other couple other questions that we have is, where did Andrew's name come from?
He actually had that name that was given to him by the breeder. I liked it. Mary was not as happy with it, but before Andrew, we had a Labradoodle, and depending on who you asked, the Labradoodle's name was either Harry or Harry Krishna Potter, Pawter, Nhairry. And we argued back and forth on the spelling and pronunciation of his name. It really led to a problem. This dog had all kinds of issues because he didn't know who he was. But he passed away after 16 years, and we decided it was time for a break, but I couldn't stop looking. And I found the breeder, and Andrew was born the same day that we lost Harry. So,
Oh my gosh.
you know, the only thing was when I got him, then I had all these preconceived notions that he would be like Harry. And he quickly dispelled that myth and convinced us that he was his own dog.
Wow, I didn't know that. That is incredible. Was that a sign to you that it was meant to be?
Well, it was to me, not to Mary. She was
Yeah.
she was still okay with the idea of maybe we should take some more time and not burden ourselves. But man, he is anything but a burden. You can see this is the opposite of the zoomies. This is the
Yes, those are the chilies.
yeah.
So I love it. Does Andrew, because you touched that he had some litter mates, does Andrew have any dog besties?
So he hasn't been in touch with other family members. There hasn't been a reunion, but there's a big doodle group in LA, and we've been to a couple of doodle events where they have over 100 doodles running around in a park. And it was embarrassing because at least half the doodles are his color, and we had to stop and look really carefully. You know, is that Andrew? And luckily, when we called him, he came. Otherwise, we would have been in big trouble trying to figure out who was who. Another thing that we really like about being in LA, people are out walking and friendly, and we have met so many people. And I got to say, I'm embarrassed because while I don't do DREs, I do ask some of the guys about their PSAs and whether they've had it checked on my walk. And two guys who just walking with Andrew came up with prostate cancer, and to
Wow.
guide them through the course just by meeting with Andrew, sniffing the dog and stopping and speaking about who and why and how and all that stuff. There's a great couple that lives down the end of their block. They have a fenced in yard, and Stella, I would say, is Andrew's bestie. And when we walk out of the house to go on a walk, He often objects to walking towards the right. We have to go to the left, and if I'm on the wrong side of the street, he pulls over. That's another thing that's interesting about the airport. He has a couple of spots that he really likes. In Burbank, they have off one of the men's rooms, they have a closet with artificial turf and a fire hydrant. And he makes sure that we stop there, and he wants to sniff it out. The problem is he can't read the signs that say men or woman. Oh, and it's not the first set of restrooms, it's the second set of restrooms. So he's arguing about wanting to go into the room, each of the restrooms, until we get to the one with the pet relief area. We then go down, working towards the end of the concourse where Delta is in Burbank, and there's a water fountain. And he goes from 38 pounds to 150 pounds every time he walks by that fountain. We have to stop, and he gets a drink. And then on the way back, he will not walk by the Starbucks. He goes into the Starbucks, and I used to have to ask for a pup cup. Now he just walks up to the counter, puts his feet on the counter, and they know, would you like a pup cup? And he jumps down and he gets his pup cup.
So shout out to Stella, Andrew's bestie Stella, and also we know that his Starbucks order is a puppuccino. So thank you for that information. Andrew, when you're not working, like the good boy that you are, where do you like to vacation? Where do you like to relax, recharge?
Our bed. He owns it. I mean, that's actually it's his bed, and we're lucky.
Of course it is.
Yeah, we're lucky enough that he lets us stay there. He's pretty chill. He gets his morning walk. When Mary works, she will, I'll take him out, and days when I'm out to the airport, he gets a good work. When I'm doing carpool stuff, then she's walking him. So he gets at least one long walk each day. And then it's just happy to be around here. Gets along well with the grandkids. It's interesting how their relationship with him changes. The older one kind of doesn't want to have anything to do with him. And the young one, Andrew will follow him along. It's like, the wizard. He's this little kid, wow, I got to see what he's up to. So.
That is great. He's a great ambassador for Goldendoodles everywhere. Mark, I have a question for you. You told us a little bit about his reimbursement, the treats and the snacks. What is your favorite snack?
Snack? Oh, well, it's not these. It's not those. I did make the mistake at first of bringing treats along when we do our visits, and it distracts him from doing the job. I'm distracted with chocolate covered, any kind of chocolate covered nuts is my treat, but I also enjoy making pizza. And when the weather was better, we would meet a lot of people through ANCAN, and many of them would travel to LA, and we would do pizza and prostate parties just to get a couple of guys together and celebrate the fact that we've gotten through this. I think the hardest part for the majority of guys, probably 85 to 90% of people who come through, is just deciding what to do and not the actual treatment itself. So, and you also feel like you're alone. And being alone, it is scary. And being able to work with a group like ANCAN and meet other people and share our stories and realize that you can go through this together and life isn't over. It may change. There may be things that are different and you have to adjust to, but it's not over. Also, the giving back. We're talking about healing here, and
Yeah.
art's healing. And, whether you yourself are involved in a certain form of art, or you just decide that you want to give back to the bigger community. In addition to working with Andrew, working on ANCAN, my wife has put together a group of litter pickers, and we go twice a month through our area cleaning up the streets. And we're now up to about 20 people who have joined with us. And next month, Mayor Bass is going to come out with our team, and we'll see if she actually helps clean up the street. But they tell us that she will join us on our effort.
Well, that is great. And I love what you mentioned. One of my favorite things here at ANCAN still, I never get tired of it, is when we have someone come into one of our groups and they say they share something that's been really bothering them, and they say, when they find out that they're not alone and other people, they say, I thought I was the only person who felt that way, or I had that side effect of this. And so when people realize they're not alone, that community can be so healing. And that's kind of why we do what we do at ANCAN, why we offer the support that we do. I have another question for you. And do you have any plans to add another therapist?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, I have 2 grandkids. I have a wife. I have a daughter. My son-in-law is easy. That's not an issue. But I see people who have a bunch of dogs, and I feel to have a dog that's as good as Andrew, you have to invest in that relationship. And it's about the relationship. And he may be a dog and he may have a lot of hair, but he still deserves to feel loved. And I think it would be harder. And it's just the same thing. My wife came from a family of 5 kids. I can't imagine, someone who would have 5 kids and emotionally relate and be involved. And so no other thoughts about that.
Well, Andrew, he is fantastic. I remember when you brought him to PCRI, it's a prostate cancer conference out in LA. And he just, man, I got to see him in action. And I'm not ashamed to admit that when I was manning the ANCAN table, I got on the ground with Andrew. And it's easy to do, very soft, very cuddly. And he even did some tricks. What are some of those tricks that Andrew does?
Well, it doesn't look like he's in a trick mood now, but as part of the testing that they go through with the pet therapy, it's sit and stay and down and shake paw. We've tried some of the others, like we'd throw a ball and he would run after the ball and he'd say, yep, that's the same ball you threw. Now, if you want to get it, you come and get it. So he's not into fetch. He definitely does not like water. He will not go in the pool and swim with us. But it's comfortable for him to do what he feels comfortable doing.
I know that because number one, you live in LA, the city of stars, and then you also go to the motion picture home. Has Andrew ever met any celebrities?
Yeah, quite a few. We actually this past week we were there, and one of the volunteers put together a film trivia contest. It was the men's group. So I went in there and mentioned that about ANCAN and my work with prostate cancer, and Andrew kind of just took his chilling position. He was really, I don't know how much he's into film, but he was just chilling. And it turned out that they pretty much got all these answers to the questions. And part of the reason was, oh yeah, I directed Clint Eastwood in that one, or this was this first series where she won an episode, an Emmy for the 4th episode. And I mean, there was someone there who worked on each of these tough trivia things from way, way back. There's also one person who was, I had a pinup of when I was in high school, well, probably middle school. I had a pinup, a superhero, and she just loves meeting Andrew and people from other movies that I've seen. So it's great, and you hear the stories. They have a really nice movie theater there, and as a volunteer, we get to go and see first run movies. And they had the Fall Guy about stuntmen, and the guy sitting right behind us worked in the stunt industry. And after the film, they're going over the different amazing stunts that they had done. One person trying to up the next with, yeah, but our stunt, we did, so it's kind of exciting to hear those stories. And again, it's very rewarding work, just to be around. And I guess when I was working as a doc, you're solely focused on that relationship and the outcome that the person is seeking. Whereas now it's just, how can you just be there and receive what they're offering and give back? And that giving is such an important part of healing. And it's crazy that, it's till I was close to 70 years old before I made that realization and how important it was.
I love that. I feel like a lot of our volunteers, because as Rick and I both know, that ANCAN would be nothing without our volunteers, including yourself, our moderators. And I get the absolute privilege of getting to have great relationships and communicate with everyone. And I found that really that giving can be part of your healing. It has been for me. And I love that you touched on that. And I just find that very appropriate here at ANCAN. One of the questions I wanted to ask you when I knew we were going to do this show, and I know it's going to be a hard thing to answer, and if you have a few, that's okay. What would you say the most heartwarming, your most favorite moment has been since you two have done this work?
Well, it's pretty clear. It's a lady who at the motion picture home who never leaves the room. She pretty much stays in bed the whole time, doesn't talk much. She's been in over 70 movies. One of them I saw was just an amazing film, and her role in that was out of sight. And she's always so appreciative of our coming and visiting. And she asks Andrew to come up on the bed, and she pets Andrew, and she's just brightens up. It's from a person who's just not alert and awake to someone who comes back. And she tells the story. I usually leave, okay, we'll see you next week. And she says, oh, I won't be here next week because I'm going home. I got another role and I'm going to be in this movie. And after the movie, I'm going to move back to the beach house. And oh, I really love dogs. I've always had dogs. And when I get back to the beach house, I'm going to get 2 dogs. And I'm going to have you and Andrew come over, and the dogs can run and play on the beach. And then she starts crying. And I said, what's wrong? Why did I upset you? And she said, no, 10 minutes from now, I won't remember that you were here. I won't remember Andrew's name. I won't know that you were here. There's no way I can do anything in film again because I can't remember anything. And I just thought about it that, the fact that she was lucky that this imaginary world that she created was a peaceful and pleasant one. There are people who are dealing with dementia who don't have that and are angry and dealing with emotional pain and struggling. For myself, it's also going in and seeing people who are younger than I am who are having these problems. And you have to stop and think. You can't work in that environment and say, we all get older. We all have to face these kinds of things. What will I be like? And will I be a burden? Will I experience this? Will I be the one who sits there and screams? Or will I be the one taking my dog down to run and play on the beach? I don't know. But that's why it's just so meaningful and rewarding.
Yeah, that's a wonderful experience. I'm so glad that you're able to give her comfort no matter how long that lasts. That is priceless. That is just an incredible thing. Um, in one of our last support groups that I was in this week, one of the things that we talked about is how hard it can be, especially when you live with a chronic illness or cancer, how hard it can be to be present and live in the moment. You can go in the future, you can just experience like every emotion at one time. Andrew, well, look at him. This homie's living in the moment. I mean, he is relaxed. How do you think he conveys that to other people?
Well, I mean, I think he's either showing joy and excitement and play. I mean, he will walk up to people and hug them. They will hug him. He will kiss them. And I think both for himself, but also for the other people, he reminds you, don't forget where you are right at that time. Try not to worry about, we always used to say, and then I got a book for my grandson, what's the worst that could happen was this book. And it was so many bizarre kind of worst things that the kid in the book was thinking about. And I think we all do that to some degree. And working with Andrew forces one to, be more present.
I love that. We're kind of coming towards the end of our time, although I wish we were not. I really wanted to ask you and to ask Andrew, we live in a lot of time of uncertainty, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and we could all use Andrew, but there's only one of him, so but what to our audience of people who are struggling in so many different ways, what kind of encouragement or word would you and Andrew like to share to them?
Well, that's tough because there's so many things that we struggle with. Andrew has been toying with the idea of getting into politics, and I told him I would support him if he did, but I'm not sure that would necessarily solve all the problems we face either. I'm not really sure. I think we look, I can tell you what this has been for me, the struggles with the difficulties and disappointment in the politics and all, is such that I looked at changing the world. I looked at making the world a better place. And I find that in this time and now, it's having a good relationship with Andrew. It's being good to my family. It's being kind and listening to the people I meet, whether it's at the airport or at LA Jewish Home or
Mhm.
Motion Picture Television Fund. We can't save the world. There are a lot of headwinds that are very strong. There's the old story about this kid who's walking down the beach, and there are thousands of starfish on the beach, and he picks up the starfish and throws it in the ocean. And this guy walks up to him and says, why are you doing that? What can you expect to accomplish? You can't save them all. And the kid turns and says, yeah, but I can save that one. And I think that's what we have to remember, is that there's a lot that we can save. There's a lot that we can make better as individuals. And it doesn't have to be solving the whole world. It doesn't have to solve all those issues that are out there on the news. It's the issues that are right in front of us that we see here and now, where we can make a difference.
That is some fantastic advice, and that is where we are going to end on. That is wonderful. Mark and Andrew, thank you so much for coming. And Mark and Andrew were very hospitable and wonderful. And everyone, I would like to encourage you to please support the Marsh. Programs like these are so important because it opens up these lines of communications and learning more about other people. And we need this in these times. Our guest next month is going to be John Barlett, sort of like Jet. So I like him already. And we look forward to seeing you next time. And just know here at ANCAN, we're here for you. Come by our support groups, come by our art classes, and please come by and see us. We are here for you. And thank you so much for coming tonight.